because I'll be honest with you, it was scary. You know, you walk into a facility like that, and Greenhaven had a reputation. It was a pretty rough jail.
Yeah, especially at that time. That was like one of the worst times.
1980. And, you know, I'm here, and I'm like, what am I doing here? They're giving us a tour, and then I'll never forget, we go to one of the blocks on the east side. The east side was the tougher side. They said the west wasn't as bad. They had a separate block, J block, which was, I guess they used to call like some of the mobsters or the celebrity blocks.
Yeah, we had one of those. We called it the 60 Minutes unit.
Okay.
Everybody wanted an interview.
So I remember going up the stairs, and I saw a good friend of mine, Carl. We grew up together, and he's with a cigarette in his mouth, sleeves rolled up, and he's packing up an inmate. For those that don't know, that's when they take the mattress, they throw all your stuff, they roll you up.
Roll you up, you gotta go.
And my nickname back, they used to call me Stitch. That was my father's nickname. And Carl turns around, he goes, Stitch, what's up? And from that moment on, I said, here we are. So I started working there. And there a couple months, then they sent us to the academy for like, I think, 3 weeks. And it was a Fishkill Correctional Facility, but we had a home up there, but we stayed at the academy. I come out of the academy, it was probably, I think, January, whatever it was, February, I don't even remember. And then 3 weeks later, I get called to be a city correctional officer. So I'm figuring, hey, you know what, it's closer to home, more money, about to get married, can't beat that. So I took the job, started in city correction, worked there. I remember that Friday we were driving to my wife's friend's house, Helen, and we passed the Queen's House of Detention off the Grand Central Park, and I turned and I said, man, it's going to take me 10 years to get to that place. Monday I report to the academy.
There you are.
Well, the funny part was, if you worked in jail, you'll appreciate this. So, you know, jail's a scary place. Anybody that goes down, okay, who are you? It's scary the first few times you're there. So they're marching us through, you know, right.
They'll only say you're scary if you're honest.
Oh, I'm honest.
No, I'm saying only people. I wasn't okay, dude.
Yeah. So I'm marching through, and I'm like, I'm used to this. I'm Greenhaven now, and there they were all sentence inmates, you know, and they're yelling and screaming stuff. And so I'll never forget. The inmate says to me, he goes, "Man, you ain't no new jack." I said, "How do you know?" He goes, "Look at your shoes. They're scuffed up." And I had a keychain. We used to have these keychains like a loop thing.
Yeah.
So you got that keychain upstate New York. So I'm laughing at myself. Everybody else, you know, they're like,
He'd been there, done that.
Yeah, they're marching, you know.
Yeah, they know.
Right. So then I was there my 5th day. I get called. I'm like, here I go. They go, Starkman. They call me in. I get assigned to the Queen's House because I had the state certification and whatever little experience I had.
Yeah, some training.
Right. That experience there, 9 months there, 10 months in Greenhaven. I don't care what anybody tells you. It's like probably working 5 years anyway. And that has helped me down the road. I get assigned to the Queen's House. I'm there a little bit. And this is how, like, my basketball always turns into things. I meet a couple guys, and next thing I know, like 2 days later, we're playing, you know, one shift's playing against the other.
Yeah.
Thank God I was still in pretty good shape, and I always could play ball. So you make some friends that way. And, you know, just start working. I'm working around the clock, the wheel, you know, different shifts. And it was definitely different because...
Yeah, we toured Rikers. That wheel, that's different.
Well, I was lucky because the Queen's House is a separate building. So Rikers, you have to go over the bridge. You know, if you want here, just park, do what you got to do. You go in, you come out. But I remember we worked a 4 on, 2 off. You work 4 days, you're off 2, rotating, you know, you go from the 3 to 11 to 7 to 3, you know, midnight to 6 or 7, whatever it was. And something happened. There was a brawl or something, and I separated some fights. And this was in a special housing unit I was assigned that day. And here I go again. I get called into the deputy warden of security. I'll never forget. His name was Cantwell, heavy Irish brogue. And, you know, here I am, a Jewish guy, and he's calling me lad. You know, and we're doing this, and he's asking me, you know, if I had a choice of what shift I would like to work, what would it be? So I'm figuring he's checking me out. You know, you learn from other job too. And, you know, I said, I didn't know what to answer. I said, listen, I'm new here. I'll work whatever I'm assigned. I think that's the politically correct thing to do.
Yep.
Well, he says, good. You work in steady days. You work in the bin. The bin was the special housing unit. So I landed up working there. And that was very interesting because I think there was 12 or 14 cells, I'm not sure. One was all cop killers, the worst inmates. Upstairs was the cops locked up, the snitches, the transsexuals, whatever you call them now. And
they were just gay back then, so you don't got to use none of them pronouns on this show.
Okay.
They were just gay, whatever.
Yeah, so I had that, and that was a really it was a learning experience because we had when I was there, we had the 2 cop killers from the Black BLA, York and Laborde.
Yep.
I had a couple run-ins. We had this Julio Marzan. It was bad, but it was a great experience for me. A couple months, I was there about a year and a half, and I was working the Sally Port downstairs, and these guys come in, and they showed me, show their badge. Now in New York, anybody could have a badge. You know, you could be a security guard in Wally World.
Garbage guy got a
Yeah,
badge.
everybody's a badge. Yeah, everybody's
Everybody
a
has
badge.
a badge and a parking
Yeah,
pass.
Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
They used to.
Yeah.
So
Well-
these guys flip, they flip this badge. It looks like a detective shield. I'm looking. I'm saying, oh, what department? Are you? They go, sheriff's office. I go, okay, which one? I go, Nassau? Nope. I go, Suffolk County? Nope. I don't Dutch? Nope. New York. I said, New York. I thought I knew every job in the city because I took every test.
Yeah.
Except for the fireman. They go, New York City Sheriff. I go, what is this? I knew there's a
Sheriff's
marshal.
patrol?
Yeah. Well, what happened was the civil prisoners were kept in the special housing unit with the snitches and the transgenders. Whatever. Okay.
Those cats.
Those cats. And they had a prisoner. They said, how'd you get that job? They go, well, there's an opening. Put together a resume. Now, there was no computers, you had the handmade typewriters. So-
Email me. I'll get back to you next week.
Oh, those-
Yeah.
Well, I put in and I got the job.
Oh.
The only good thing was that it was on parity with the uniform services. I think it was the best, well-kept secret in the city. But at 25 years old, 26 years old, basically I was a glorified process server. That's not what I wanted. But I still had that goal. My goal was to become a New York City cop. And I
I'm
just
trying to
figured,
find a lead.
right, that'll get me out.
Yeah.
Same salary as jail, Monday through Friday. All right. So I was there about a year and a half. I'll never forget, we're in California, my wife and I on vacation, and we're driving home from San Francisco to go visit our friends in LA, and we stopped in one of the cities there, and I remember going into the hotel room, and I put on the TV, and there's Geraldo Rivera, and he did a special on customs in Miami. Jumping out of a helicopter, I'm like, man, I forgot it was on that list, and it was just like, it was pretty cool. And this was during, when Miami Vice started coming out.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was my favorite show. And we land up, I remember going back. I actually went to see a friend of ours, Miles. He was working on the border. My friend Phil in LA. And I'm like, man, I'm a deputy sheriff. These guys are doing a real thing. I'm like, I'm like Harry the process server, So we come back and I go to I'll never forget, I'm in the office and, because it was so much paperwork, there's piles of paper. And I check all my voicemails, and also my phone rings, and this woman gets on, and she says, this is whatever from U.S. Customs. I thought it was my friend Carl messing with me. I'm like,
Nice.
get the F out of here. I said, Carl, get the F out of here. She said, I don't hear nothing. She goes, I'm not your friend Carl. And my voice, I just dropped. I said, she says, we'd like you to come in for an interview. I said, oh, okay, how about next week? She goes, how about tomorrow? I'm like, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. Anyhow, I show up the next day, and I said in the book how, thank God all my friends were getting married at the time because I had one suit. It was the one I wore to every wedding, So I put on the suit, I go in there, and I'm nervous. I'm sitting there, I'm like Ralph Cramden, like, and the woman, first thing she says to me, she goes, don't worry, I'm not your friend Carl. Oh, man, that
Broke the ice.
Oh, yeah. So we're sitting in there, I go through the interview, and what a lot of people don't realize in law enforcement in general, they said, you really don't have any investigative experience. Now, the position was for Customs Patrol Officer. I said, well, working in a prison, whether it's maximum security, detention center, whatever, I said, you're dealing with, for instance, at Greenhaven, 1,900 inmates with probably 3 times the amount of personalities, different charges. You learn body language. You learn the responses, the verbal, the eyes.
Facial pantomime, body
everything.
language. Yeah,
And I
dealing with
said that to me was the best experience I could have because that will help me in the future. And whatever happened, it worked. As I'm walking out, this little short guy comes up to me and goes, how's your father Stitch doing? I look at him and I'm like, excuse me? Turned out it was this guy, Gus Gersey, who was a retired detective that grew up with my father and played basketball with him. Him, his brother, and my father all enlisted in war. They all went to war together. His brother never made it back. Gus was a retired detective who took a job, I guess, with their internal affairs, who's doing the backgrounds. So it was a little more comfortable. My father had no idea because I asked him. He had no idea he was working there. So I think that made it a lot easier. And when I left, I felt really good. And 2 weeks later, I got hired. And October 3rd, 1983, my Customs.
So based on these little interaction we had so far, your father helped you out a lot.
But unofficially.
Unofficially.
Yeah, and that's one of the things in the book that I stress. Like, for instance, my mother went to high school with my high school basketball coach. My father knew him. They all went to the same high school. I never asked my father, like in this day and age, call him up, get me on the team. I got cut. that's one thing I did learn from my father. You work at it.
That's it.
You work at it, and you keep, and that's what I did.
Now they want to call the superintendent.
Oh no, they want their lawyer.
Yeah.
Listen, I coach. I still get text messages about their kids, and it's just crazy. So
God bless you.
moving forward,
God bless you that you can deal with parents. I got a dojo, and guys come in, feds, COs, POs, cops, and people always go, you don't train kids here. You make a ton of money, and they go, oh, you don't like kids. I go, I don't like parents.
yeah, right.
And I just refuse to deal with it. You're right. I could generate something out of it. I said, I'm just not having somebody's little Johnny. Oh, he don't like when you talk like this, or you're too tough on him. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, yeah. So I won't deal with the parents. God bless you guys for coaching.
So, just moving forward, I worked in New York a little. Again, I was a CPO, and what was interesting about that, I always equated that to be like, like you're a patrolman.
Well, what's a CPO?
Oh, Customs Patrol Officer, I'm sorry. But, so I go to the academy, 3 days.
So those are the guys that usually stop me when at
No, those are the
JFK.
inspectors. Those are the
I usually get
inspectors.
stopped coming back from South
we
America.
used to do like CPOs would
Every
do like
time.
secondaries. They'd be ship searches. They'd search the airplanes, things like that. But what was really interesting was 3 days before I graduated the academy, I'm on the phone with my wife. She goes, "Oh, you just got a letter from NYPD to start your background investigation." I said, "You know what? I just spent 3.5 months in Glencoe, Georgia. I got a job. I got a little taste of it prior to going to the academy. I'm just sticking with what I have." Fast forward the clock. I worked in New York a couple of years, about 1.5 years. We were working. We got assigned to this undercover operation. We were living out in Long Island for a while. It wasn't what I thought it should be. I don't think, well, knowing now, it definitely wasn't. And it was, again, a learning experience. I had a friend down in Miami who we met, Bob Benevente. He said, if you ever want to come down here, I'll get you in. We put in a transfer. I actually transferred down with another guy, Nick Jacobellis. And next thing I know, I'm in Miami.
You got to what year you got back here?
I transferred here
80
August 25th, 1985.
85.
Yeah.
So you got here in the height of. Now they say Miami before was just a big retiree community, very quiet, no skyline, and they said that when the kilos started coming in, all of a sudden this place just went Art Deco on steroids, and that's when it became the glamour, the glitz, the cars, and it became the show. What Michael Mann's masterpiece of Miami Vice became, because now you were living it, we were watching it. We remember Miami Vice, and we remember on Fridays
We had this conversation yesterday.
we
Going to a
live-
party at an Elks Club
oh my God.
and running home because Miami Vice is coming on. We gotta go.
Yeah, we're like, we gotta go. Why? I'll be back in an hour. What do you mean be back in an hour? We gotta go watch Miami Vice, dude. We'll be back later. Guys are like, you're going home to we're like, we can't miss
We're
Miami
early teens,
Vice.
13, 14,
Exactly.
15.
We're like, we
gotta
can't
go.
miss Miami Vice, dude. So you get down here in the height of this affair. What's your first impression? You come down here, you see this place. You're obviously hearing some stories of, hey, we got problems. If it's not the Cuban side, now it's the South Americans coming in with the kilos.
Well, first of all, for the record, I never want anything with pastels. That's the first thing. Just so we know
I'm gonna
that.
throw the bullshit flag on that. Well, proceed, Stark.
Yeah,
Proceed.
So that's the first thing. Well, when we first got down here, I came
You
down.
were lilac.
Yeah, and a tutu also. But
He was dressing like Mr. Furley from Three's Company.
when I got down here, I got assigned to a really good group. It was called the FIS Team, Freighter Intelligence Surveillance Team. I wasn't put on the boats because when Al Westerman was the chief of patrol, he asked me, about going on the boats, and I told him the only boat I've ever been on is the Circle Line, and I get seasick.
The Circle Line?
When it goes around New
Yeah,
York.
yeah.
So I said, I can't go on any boats. So he put me on the FIS Team, which that was the place to be. It was a blast. And I remember the first case we worked on, it was somebody else's case. We got 300 kilos. My wife was flying in. I couldn't even pick her up at the airport. She's pregnant. We couldn't even pick her up at the airport.
I read that you couldn't
But-
leave, and what you said, it didn't go over very
Yeah,
well.
it didn't go over too well.
Yeah,
Nothing does I do anyhow. But I remember after doing that, I would call my friends up and say, hey man, we just got 300 kilos. In New York, if you got a kilo, it was like, oh.
Big deal, huh?
And they're like, yeah, right. I'm saying, yeah, 300 turned out, down the road more and more and more. So it was definitely an eye opener. But two of the biggest eye openers for me was, that was the days during the Miami River Cops. There was a lot of corruption. And I remember they said that on Miami Vice prior to me coming. I never understood this. They said you can't tell the good guys from the bad guys. And that's one of the scary things. The other thing, anybody can carry a gun down here. So in the back of my mind, you're stopping a car, you're going on a boat, somebody has a gun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like an element of surprise where it really is, but you have to have that in the back of your mind. So it was a whole adjustment for me, learning about informants, learning about contacts. But what I did was, I used what I've always done in basketball, the teamwork. You know, like, we're going to work together. We're going to do things we've never done before. You know, so we started doing all of that and working and then progressing. And then I went on a vacation. I came back, and I get called into the office again. It seems to be my thing. And it
Always in the principal's office.
Walk of shame.
Yeah, but it was actually good because it was Wayne Roberts. I knew of him. I didn't know him. He was a really active guy during the money laundering group. He took over our FIST team, which was now going to become an investigative group, and then promotions and from CPO to agent and move on. And he called me. Excuse me. He calls me in, and it's like he did a background on me. His first words to me, I'll never forget, and I use it to this day, even with my basketball players. He said, "Don't ever lie to me. I'll go to the wall for you. You lie to me, I'll throw you off the wall." I'm like, oh shit.
That's easy to deal with. You know where he's coming from.
Right, great guy. And from that day on, like, it was the best times of my life. And then in between this, it was a birthday, and my wife's friend gets me the book, Donnie Brasco. So I'm reading the book, and like, I don't know Joe.
Yeah.
I'm reading the book. Wow, it's different when you don't know somebody. So we just get that part in, and now we're working, progressing. We had a really good time. I know Customs went through some problems with some corruption at the time. The Miami River thing was kind of cleaning up, but you're kind of naive to things. Like, I believe if you're not part of it, you're not aware of it.
They try to do a good job of keep you
Right,
unaware.
and that was good. And believe me, it was very easy if you wanted to be corrupt.
Yeah.
And it was just I learned one thing. It's like in jail, the inmates are always innocent. And it's like with coaching. When a kid doesn't play, it's the coach's fault, and they fail a class. It's the teacher's fault.
Yep.
So I always believed in you do your job, you work, you have fun. It was like playing ball.
Work ethic.
Right. So I was working very hard. I got promoted to agent, like after not even a year, and then from there kept on working. And my boss went back to Operation Greenback, which was the big money one. That was when promotions you had to put in for it, and that was the career path to get your GS-13, which at the time was a senior special agent. So I'm in Greenback, and it's funny because I said to the boss, I said, when he got me in there, I said, listen, how does this work? Use informants. Well, what do you use? He goes, well, we use dogs. I said, you use dogs? I said, what kind of dogs? He goes, the Jewish setter, the money dog. He got me because I was Jewish, So it was funny. So I said, this is going to be a lot of fun, And we just kept on working. I was very lucky. I was introduced to a brother and sister that they weren't bad people. They knew the right people. And I will tell you, I'll refer to him as 77, and the other one was Uncle Richard, who reminded me of my uncle. He looked like him, so I named him. His code name was Uncle Richard. And the other one was 77 because that was a lucky number. And we made some unbelievable cases with them. And I didn't say me, we. And that's how we always work. What I was able to do is I was able to bring in all the local cops. They never had that before because I know you're only as good as them. And listen, we all know feds, for the most part, have attitudes. We know can't work with people, this and that. Well, I work with everybody. So we were able to bring
That's the New Yorker in you, though.
Well, I'd like to believe it. I brought in Tommy O'Keefe from Metro-Dade. He's actually, in the Miami Vice show, Michael Talbot portrayed him in his real life. Brought in his squad. Got the Broward Sheriff, Dennis Gavalier, Bert Bouchard, that whole squad. Coral Gables with Wayne Harris and his squad. And Border Patrol, and we were kicking ass.
So I laughed. So you came down here. Nobody ever taught you how to drink the Cuban coffee, obviously. Nobody taught you. Nobody taught you the ropes.
Nobody taught me the right way because my first day, it was October 25th, August 25th. Our boss tells us, here's a set of keys. Go to the range, qualify with your weapons. I'll see you in the week, learn Miami. So Nick and I go to the range. We come back, I see that, that orange, like the Gatorade bottle from the construction site. I mean, I'm going to be like Lieutenant Castillo from Miami Vice. I ordered one of them coffees. I don't know how she understood what I said. I sip it down, drink the water. I had the squirts for the next 2 days. I couldn't leave the hospital.
You've watched the episode. You are aware. You ever noticed that Castillo's desk never had anything on it?
Yeah, he was a boss.
Well, yeah, he told Michael Mann, he goes, I never want anything on the desk.
Really?
The whole you watch any episode, you see the desk is spotless. My man don't even got a pen on there. I'm like, well, anytime you ever watch him, he told Michael Mann, he's like, dude, I want nothing on the desk. And every time they walked into the debrief or something, it was just like, did you just move in here?
I remember when you told me that. After that, every time I catch an episode, I look for that.
Right? I wasn't lying to you. So, yeah, I found it amusing how you said about the coffee. I was going to give you a highly unoffended shirt today, but I got kind of scared because it seems like you're a little bit of a pirater. You into the bullshit. You bootleg shirts, man. I can't give you one of my shirts now.
That's it. I'm cut.
Cut.
No, in his book, he said that he started hustling shirts on the
Not
side.
hustling. I was selling shirts.
He was hustling.
No, I was selling. Listen. So anyhow,
Now you put it in the book.
I didn't say hustling. That's the Latino in you. Us Jews say making money, but
There you go.
I'm a bad one. But anyhow,
Monetizing.
okay, I like that. So moving forward, I have to go to undercover school.
So people, when you read the book, you're gonna get into a good part, and they're talking about he's selling Hill Street Blues shirts.
That's how I met my buddy Paulie
at the police supply. Yeah, when I read that, it's kind of funny because I've been known to maybe you bootleg a shirt or two.
I don't bootleg, mine are real.
You know,
There's
so
no copyright on it.
you know, hey man, what do they say? It's flattery. Don't take it the wrong way. It's flattery. But yeah,
27 years ago, anyhow. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Statute of limitations gone.
Right.
No, that's great though. Yeah, when I read those parts, I started laughing. I'm like, okay, well, sounds like us, you know. But no, that was good stuff.
Yeah. So then I got promoted to a GS-13 which is a senior agent. I was very lucky, but again, it came from working for a good boss. You know,
Greenbacks worked out.
Right, it worked out. You know, and I had to go to undercover school. So now I'm in undercover school. They used to have it, if I'm correct, in Virginia, IBM or something.
IBM.
I think they cut the budget a little, so I went to my guys in
This was
BSO.
customs.
Right, this was customs undercover school. I knew he was an instructor there. I didn't know him, I just knew his book. So I was able to get through Broward Sheriff, Nick Navarro, the sheriff. Dennis Cavalier was the sergeant we used to work with. They got us, I believe, you know, their organized crime center, whatever it was, you know, the classrooms, whatever, and then we had the hotels. So I'm sitting there, I could still see it as it was yesterday. I had bad allergies, so I have a sinus infection. On my desk, I have like the Flonase, the antibiotics, the Advil. I look like a Jewish pharmacist, you know.
You got CVS with you.
Yeah. So Nick Jacobellis, who I used to work with, knew Joe previously, I guess from somebody else, whatever. Just come out, why don't you introduce you to Donnie Brasco? So I get up and I go over there and I said, hey, it's nice to meet you, whatever. I go, man, you look a lot bigger in the book. He goes, glad to fucking meet you too. That was his first words. That was his first words to me. And our friendship started from there.
And here you are.
Well, he did say to me, what's on the desk? I told him. He said, well, I got a cold. I said, here, take the antibiotics. I think he said to me, why are you at the school? So I was joking because at the school, at the, you know, the one in Virginia, he used to give out an autographed book. So I was being a wise ass. I go, I only came here so I get an autographed book. Well, I will tell you, halftime, well, during the break, I think a basketball game. Yeah.
Halftime.
He goes out and he comes back and he gives me an autographed book. Now, he said he went out and bought it. Now, 30 years later, I think he had it in his trunk. But it was the greatest gesture I know.
You know better than
Yeah, it
that.
was a gesture. And we've been buddies and our families.
How many years now?
90, I didn't,
Yeah, that was
90?
that was 90.
90?
Wow.
And it's funny because in the book, I found my actual evaluation. I put it in the book that he gave me.
Yeah.
And we've become family friends, whether it's weddings, you know. We don't have bar mitzvahs. We're not good Jews, but you know, we just everything family thing. We get together, our wives, and you know, it's just funny because, like I said, going back to the book, reading it. So the first thing I did when I got to know him, like we meet each other, you know, I read the book over, and it's really interesting because people tell me, even reading like my book, if you know me, they hear me
Of course.
speaking.
Yeah.
So now, like when Joe's, you know, saying it, I said, "Fuck, that was Joe." You know?
Yeah.
And I just have to say,
You read it in his tone.
Yeah, right, exactly. And knowing him now even better, absolutely, you know. And he did get me a part in his movie, just to let you know. That was good. That's my claim to fame.
Okay.
And I take him out one day. I said, Joe, listen, we had like our mailbox, like the drop sites, you know, with this P.O. box, you know.
Yeah.
I said, Joe, I said, I got this great Italian place. I said, let's get the best calamari ever. I take him there. this shit is frozen. I didn't know. I'm Jewish, I told him.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah.
last time I chose food. That was the last time I picked restaurants. So,
He takes you to some chain place, something. That's horrible.
just keep on moving forward. Just working and having a good
So
time.
obviously Miami was good. So
Very good.
so you're in here in 1985, right? You got 85 layers running around this place, right? All Carlos.
Oh, I don't. There was everybody was.
Well,
I don't know if they were, but there people were.
What's his name? You had
Well, the
what,
one.
what was the Russian guy's name? That was.
I don't know any Russian, but the one
man.
we did a lot with. We had a contact into the Cali cartel, and people worked the part with Pablo Escobar. But, everybody claimed. Nobody ever saw them. I mean, the bottom line is, you kind of just like I looked at it as like a tree service. You're chopping it down, you're trimming it.
Trying to work.
Have we got the branch? Money, I always believed hurts, because if you lose your wallet today, it hurts. Cocaine, just keep on reproducing. So the money is where,
That was the monkey wrench. That was the monkey wrench.
Right.
Because I was just I've seen so much about it. Like with Mickey Monday.
Oh, yeah.
That guy's 74 years old. He just caught 14 years for some stolen car racket.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, because he had some things, and I was like, oh, maybe we go check him. And yeah, he's back in jail, 74 years old, going back in. I'm like, dude, you hard-headed.
And
still doing it, 74.
Well, it was
jackass.
interesting because, like you said, and then I started coaching while I was working. So I would go from a surveillance to a practice, from a practice to a drug bust. It was just, I don't know how I did it, but I think it kept me young. And I
just kept you active.
Yeah, I love basketball. I always looked at like my job with customs as a sport. Go out, have fun. Winning is like locking a guy up. You lose, you got to figure out how to fix it. Yeah, I didn't cheat, I didn't lie in court, and any of that. So it was a game.
All about that gig,
It was a game.
So you're still coaching?
Yeah.
You're in the Hall of Fame. Good for you.
The Hall of Fame is 25 minutes from where we live.
No, not that hole. I wish
I
I was in
thought
that
you
one.
were basketball.
I'm in the Florida Junior College Basketball.
It's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Hall of Fame.
We go to the Hall of Fame for drinks sometimes on a
they
Friday.
NBA Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, we live down the road. We go in there for drinks and beers sometimes.
Just like I said, the career just kept on progressing. And
so you did the book. I always tell people, I said, when you do something out of passion, it ain't working. It ain't laborious. Obviously you got guys helping you out. You got guys giving you the constructive criticism. People always. I think pride's huge in this world. People don't want to ask for help. People. But when you don't have that in you, you just, hey man, help me.
Yeah.
When I get done, I tell everybody I got an e-board from hell. I got guys that help me from every end, and people say, oh man, you do some cool shit. I go, dude. I said I'm a singer. I don't write the music.
Well,
I'm like at much, but yeah, this is great stuff. Enjoyed this book.
This is a good book, and as you see inside both courts, as addressed, he was in the courthouse of law and justice and the courthouse of the basketball court. Interesting book. Read it.
A lot of times people don't understand like how sometimes people don't really. I don't think they give the
I'm not saying
props.
there's not enough pictures for people like me, but
Next
struggled
one.
through it.
Well, I could have 400 pictures and 2 pages to write.
That would have
been my book.
Yeah, right.
He wants the next one to pop.
The only thing that I always wanted to emphasize, and that was the whole thing of the book, like the teamwork thing. That book is not about me. The beginning tells my upbringing.
Yeah.
But that book talks about everybody, what we did, from my players. Listen, coaches will get on and say, "Oh, I won 300 games. When I hit my 300 victory, I'm getting interviewed by the papers. How did it feel to win 300 games? I didn't win 300 games. Those kids did.
Yeah.
My job, again, was to lead them, keep them in order. I had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But they're the ones putting it in the basket, and they're the ones defending it. And, and that was one of the things that I really enjoyed, was being able to try to help kids from mistakes I made. And I think that's part of the success on both parts. But more so, I have kids playing professional basketball, overseas still, some teachers, cops, some are in jail. But the thing is, I try to emphasize, it's about we, not me.
Exactly.
And how life, the other thing too is how strange life is, like you say. Here I'm reading, which I forgot to say, one morning I'm working the midnight shift. In New York, you used to be able to get the newspapers, the
first run.
Mondays on, the night before.
Yeah.
And I remember waking up and I see this thing, Donnie Brasco. It was kind of limited under. I'm like, what the hell is this? And 30 years later, here we are, and it's just ironic you know, even with like Ralph Friedman, I told you I read that article, or basketball, I'm coaching. You know, my son works in the NBA, my youngest son. My other son owns a business, and he's coming across people that know him, that know me, that, you know,
It's
it's
just
just
business. Give him a shout out.
Rock'em Apparel.
Rock'em
In
Apparel.
Orlando, he makes socks. It's online. He has
That's
one of
funny
the
that you say
largest.
that. I have bought Rock'em socks.
That is my
I
son's
did not
company.
know that.
NFA might need some socks,
Yeah,
man.
I may not. I
I'll
did
have
not
to
know.
talk to him, see if he gives you that,
You know.
the Stockman code.
Yeah.
He'll probably pay double if you mention
Yeah.
mine.
I got to say one thing I enjoyed that you always you put in a lot of nuances about a lot of people, and like you were just talking about helping other people, the kids. You know, one of our huge supervisors always used to say, "Teach them what they could do, not what you could do." And I really liked one that you put in there with a dude. Last name was Capabianca, and you wrote down that you said that people talk shit about everybody on the job. It's true, you know. And he said, just remember one thing: treat people how they treat
Right,
you, not by
judge it.
other people.
Right.
And it's funny because I found that so relevant to he was a jerk on the job. I was a jerk on the job, and we used to be roommates. So when people would say, "You live with that dude?" Oh my God, he's a jerk, and I go, "I've never worked with him." They're like, "What do you
Only people
mean?"
said they were jerks were the lazy guys.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
they're
that's-
accountable.
So the funny thing is, people would say,
Haters will be haters.
people
That's
would say, "How do you know that dude?" I go, "Since the fourth grade." Oh, you've never worked with him? And I'm like, "No, we've never been on a roster together.
We worked the same agency, never the same roster.
We've never worked
Right,
together.
right.
We've never." So people will say to him, "Yo, that dude's a jerk. You live with him?" And he'd be like, "Yo, he pays his rent on time. Fuck off." That's what he would say. Yo, he pays his rent. You know. But it's so funny. Like when I read that, I was like, "See that? Treat people how they treat you, and keep it pushing." But like you said, people always gonna be haters.
Well, you know, I think one of the important things that I've learned in life, it's like, you know, you remember those that help you. Like I could tell you people I worked with in Greenhaven, I'm still in touch with them. People that I worked in the Queen's House, I'm still in touch with them. You know, and then, you know, when it comes to your family, you know, anybody that could put up with me, how my wife does it, God bless her. He'll be the
Saint.
first to, you know, my daughter, she's doing well. I got 2 grandchildren, Madeline and James, and her husband. To me, he's a hero to me. He's a combat vet, police officer. These are the people. I never got excited, you know, meeting, you know, about big Division I coaches. To me, I like people that have done things. Joe, you know, Ralph.
Substance.
You know, people that mean to me
Substance.
that means more. Like, you know, it's real,
People that earned it.
right? And it's
I
real.
could put you in this position, give you the title,
Right,
I mean, you earned
and
it.
people that have come from this and made this is what it's all about. Like I said, and I like to think, you know, that's how, you know, it evolves, and your family to look back at, oh, my kids are doing well, you know, and I said, my son Rob, that the one with the sock company, you ain't gonna do it, you ain't gonna do it. I told him I signed his book. I said, because of you, it's done. I didn't want to hear his shit anymore.
Because
know?
of you, it's
But
done.
he
There
did.
you
But
go.
I'm saying, but to have that, like, you're getting support from your kid. You know, and it's like, all right, I finally shut him up now, you know. So, but for the right reason.
Yes.
So, you know,
I'm gonna call this out. I want this next podcast. We're gonna be in the back of some restaurant in New York City, and we need Ralph Friedman. I'm gonna call
All
that
three
out.
of you
but
guys.
here's the
on
problem
I
with
need all
Ralph. I brought Joe to meet Ralph, and we could have made a lot of money. Every 5 minutes, you had another 200. There had to be 1,000 people coming in and out. I'm like, Joe was the only thing. Ralph had some spread of food. I can tell you that. He's a good guy.
You
Well,
know,
Jimmy put a good spread with Ralph. You know, I was like, we
yeah.
need more guests like this.
exactly. These guys are killing me.
Ralph
But-
shows up, we have filet mignon. I'm like,
I
whoa, I
put
had
fillets on.
McDonald's last
Yeah.
week.
Hey, I brought you Dunkin' Donuts.
Hey, there
Man.
you
You
go.
know.
Couple
Only
of
because
Joe.
Joe told me to.
I tried finding, you know, bakery. I always ask these guys. I bring the cannoli, the chocolate and the ricotta. Couldn't do it today. I was like, dude, I'm, you know, breaking policy here.
That's
But
all right.
yeah, but I really like the acknowledgement.
Joseph's at Darts. That's where we go. 'Cause we have our coffee club. We meet once a week. But I was very fortunate to have him as a friend, and you know that's the most important. He supported me in basketball. He supports me in my job, and now he supports me. We can't talk about it. I'm just saying, you know, it's you know, it's like I was joking with him. I said to him, I said, Joe, man, I said, you know, I said the only reason they're coming down is because of you. But he said, but first thing he said was, this is about you, not me. So, and I'm, you know,
No,
I
man.
appreciate you guys for this.
No, man. You know what? When you said it the other, I said, you know what? You know, my driver, Friedman. Sorry, I had to bring a driver too. I had to bring a highly trained driver.
That's all right.
And when my driver
Guess what?
said,
He's
"Come
another
down,"
Fed, Friedman.
exactly. When my driver said, "Come down," I was like, you know what? You know, I was like, we got to go. And it happened. You know, I ended up with the Varsity Road crew. I thank them from the bottom of my heart. You know, we had a good run down here to, you know, rendezvous with you guys.
And to touch up on what you said, we came down for Bob Starkman.
Exactly.
No, I
He
don't.
was a plus.
No.
He was a plus, but we're coming
I
down for
told him
you.
after all these years, I've done some things where I throw his name in. I'm collecting on it.
Yeah.
Nothing, you know.
Hey, you see what I said? I'm here riding Jimmy's
Yeah.
coattails.
He always says that. I hate it, but nah. But yeah, that's
and
right.
I told him, make sure you bring a book, and make sure that they put the book on.
Right, which
That's
is.
why I
Which
said.
Come on.
they did.
He told me to goggle
Very
with.
professional.
Amazon people, grab it. Stop buying dumb shit on Amazon that you don't need. Feed the mind.
He told me to goggle with like
Very
honey and stuff, but I
professional.
drank it.
You like that? You like the way I sell stuff? Right, don't buy shit you don't need.
That's it.
Ain't it crazy? We're in a pandemic. Amazon is making like career freaking numbers because everybody's home buying shit.
You know, Amazon sells 83% of the books in the United States. 83.
Well,
Remember
to be
when we
honest,
used to
when
go to-
Amazon first came out, I thought that's all they sold was books. So I
Yeah.
never went on Amazon for anything. People were like, oh, I bought this on Amazon. I thought all they sold was books.
And
Same
they
here.
deliver right away too.
Yeah.
Sometimes they deliver more than the lines you have to wait in like Macy's.
Remember when we used to go to Borders and what was the
Yeah.
other one that closed?
Barnes and Noble.
Barnes. Remember when we used to? You
Books
would
a
ask
million.
somebody, "Hey, what's that ISBN number? Can I
Yeah.
write it down?" Remember we would go there and go,
Yeah.
"Hey, can you order this book for me off the ISBN?" Now you just okay,
Well,
bye.
The only big bookstores that are open is Barnes and Noble, really.
Yeah, because the other one went under.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe.
I never had an issue, though. Bookstores were never my forte, so that they didn't bother me when they shut
Hey, listen,
down.
I tell everybody, I couldn't write a term paper in college, but yet I wrote a book.
Well, there you go.
I'm starting to figure that out.
Anything is possible.
We
You're
couldn't
giving me
copy on the computers back then either. You
You're
know?
giving me hope.
You put your mind to it. That's
Hey man, they
what-
call it ghostwriting nowadays.
No,
It's
Ghostwriter,
okay.
they want like
No, he-
30,000. I
I'll
did.
tell you what, he did it.
I did all myself.
The only thing he would do, he'd send me each chapter, and I'd say, "You don't need this, Bob. You know, it makes no, it doesn't connect your law enforcement to your basketball.
It was like a little filler.
You don't need it." And we took that a lot.
Well,
No,
that's,
no,
just-
no,
well,
wait,
that's the
you-
voice of experience, man. It's like when you've never done nothing, having somebody who's been there, done that, willing to help you.
But he wrote. I mean,
I don't know how he
I
did it.
give him credit. He wrote every word.
So, Joe, quick question:
Yes, sir.
Who, when you got pulled out of your op, who was the director at that time? Story, Tory,
Webster.
Webster.
Judge Webster.
Okay. A couple Fed guys, you know, were telling me they had a question. They were like, is he the one that pulled you because he didn't want you to be made because he thought that wasn't going to look good?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it was the judge's decision. I think it was.
No, they said the director.
Yeah, well, he was.
Yeah, he
judge.
was the
We
judge.
call him
The judge, yeah.
I think it was a combination of assistant directors at headquarters. Now, whether he had an input into it, I'm not sure. But yeah, he was a director when I got pulled.
What kind of toll did it take on the family?
I'm sorry.
What kind of toll did it take on your family?
I was lucky. You know, when I say I'm lucky, you know, in our business, when I say our business, I'm talking about the undercover business. You know, the divorce rate is over 90%, although it's high amongst coppers anyway.
Yeah.
And I was lucky in that I got a strong wife. When mentally strong.
It takes.
She raised 3 kids. All the kids turned out good.
It takes somebody to be on your level because of
Yeah.
the level of work you were doing. Yeah.
Exactly.
The average person is not going to stick through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always break chops for saying it's because she's Irish. She's got that tough Irish in her.
You got to find the right mix and make it work. There you go. So,
Yeah. But you're a lot, and I think too is that in all my classes that I have struck, the first thing I want to know is why are you here? And if you tell me you're here because you don't like your supervisor,
I want an autograph book.
if you tell me you're here you want to work undercover because you got a problem at home. You're going through a divorce, but
It's the wrong reasons.
it's the wrong reasons, and I tell them,
It's not
back
gonna
up and leave.
It's not
Back
gonna
up and leave. And I think that's one of the other things too is my wife knew I wasn't running away from anything. You know what I mean? I didn't have I had a good home life.
You were a school teacher.
Well, I taught school for 1 year before waiting to go into naval intelligence.
Wow.
So I taught school for 1 year.
What grade?
I taught 7th and 8th grade.
So you were in a prison too, just like you. Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. No.
So I think that was a big plus, that she knew I wasn't doing undercover work, to get away
get away as a secondary
And
measure.
I mean, I was a good street agent,
Had the gift of gab.
Yeah.
I think you gotta have a strong.
I'm
You,
just-
you gotta spit a strong game
Well, you
because
have to.
you read the book, you see the movie. It seems like you were quick on your feet. Like a
Yeah.
ballerina.
Look, I always tell people, they say, boy, you were a great actor. I said, the only difference is an actor can have 10 takes.
Ain't no round two
When
here.
you're working undercover, it's one.
Take two with that.
It's one, and you can't make a mistake. I had done a lot of undercover work before the 6-year one. I had come off a year and a half undercover operation where I had infiltrated a theft group that were stealing high-end automobiles.
Okay.
In other words, you came to us and say, "I want a Mercedes-Benz," and we say, "Okay, what color you want? What
model?
extras you want? Model?" And then we go out to the Mercedes-Benz and hook it, and deliver it to you. I did that for a year and a half, and before that, I did a lot of what we call short-term undercover. 2, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and then it started to get into the long term.
You a movie guy? Are you into movies?
Yeah, I'm into
A music guy? Yes, no.
No, not too.
What about you?
Music? I like music, but I mean, I can't.
All right.
The only thing I can do is play the radio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Start me. You a movie guy? You a
I
music
like
guy?
3 movies. Donnie Brasco, so I'm in it. Cops, I was on twice, and this other show.
Okay. All right. We're gonna ask you guys a couple questions. All right. We're gonna ask you guys both some questions. Some of you for you. First question for yourself. We're gonna do a quick one. Zone or man to man?
Man to man.
LeBron James or Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
Hoosiers or fish that save Pittsburgh?
Who's
Okay, cool. All right. Now we're gonna run some double ups. Both of you. 7-Ups or French Connection?
French guy?
Oh,
Oh, come on. Give me something.
well, no.
I believe you got a
French
preview with this one
Connection.
too.
No, I don't.
French Connection, but 7-Ups too,
Yeah, that-
because I know the cops in both
Yeah,
movies.
okay, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the real coppers.
All right.
So why don't you just do we'll do separate the age thing, like.
All
like
right, let's
high
go.
school,
Let's
But
go.
another thing, how many people know 7-Ups?
Yeah, that's true.
My mother had me watching all those things.
But I mean, a great
So-
movie.
I got
Great
I had the
movie.
DVD.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah,
All
the
right,
Chase on the Pelham.
all right. Let's go. Next one. Eastwood or Bronson? Let's go.
Eastwood.
Eastwood.
We knew New York. You guys said Cali.
Bronson's good, but that's too
Come
close,
on,
you know?
no.
Like the Jordan, LeBron, definitely. Jordan.
All right, who's the cooler bald guy? Telly or Yul Brynner?
Telly.
All right.
I like Magnificent Seven is my favorite movie. I gotta go with.
All right,
Yeah,
so you go with
the
Yul.
Lala-
All right, yes,
yeah.
all right.
Baby.
Yeah.
Come on.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
All right, okay, cool.
We're gonna have to discuss this later.
All right. Joe, favorite Western?
Clint Eastwood.
Good, bad, ugly? What?
Clint Eastwood, good, bad, or the
All
ugly.
right.
Magnificent Seven.
Magnificent. You went with a magnificent. All righty. Cool. Dirty Dozen or Kelly's Heroes?
Dirty Dozen.
All right.
I'm gonna go with Kelly Hill, so we have something to
All
discuss
right.
later.
All right. All right. Now I'm going to hit you with a heavyweight. Deer Hunter or Apocalypse Now?
Apocalypse.
Deer Hunter.
Okay, like that. Revolver, wheel gun, or semi-auto?
I like the revolvers, but I have a lot of semi-autos.
I like the real gun.
All right. Let's see what else we got. I had a couple other here. We went on Easy Rider or Convoy?
Easy Rider.
Oh, yeah, my
First
boy.
movie I ever saw in Manhattan.
Easy
Right.
Rider.
American Graffiti or Officer and a Gentleman?
Officer and Gentleman.
Really good. I'll pass.
All right. Full Metal Jacket or Top Gun?
Top Gun.
Full Metal Jacket.
Cool Hand Luke or Escape from Alcatraz?
Escape
Cool
from
Hand
Alcatraz.
Luke.
With the CO in
The
it.
CO,
Yeah.
yeah.
Spartacus or Ben-Hur?
Ben-Hur.
Now you don't old. I'm not that old. Ben-Hur.
I was gonna put the Ten Commandments in, but you were gonna say, "Hey,
I'm a Hebrew school
you know,
dropout.
see, I didn't want to go
I
there
got
with
thrown out
you.
of Hebrew school, so
know.
let's not go there.
You know, that's fabulous.
Oh,
All right, the closer. Who's cooler? Bob Newman, Newman, or freaking McQueen?
McQueen.
McQueen, yeah, you got
Oh.
Steve McQueen.
If you guys check this out, my whole backdrop is the chase scene from Bullet at our studio.
The studio.
It's got the Charger
Oh,
and the Mustang
Yeah,
going
that
at
was
it.
great, yeah.
So
Dean Antonio, my good friend, directed that.
he did. Good Lord, buddy. You see that? We always like to see who likes movies. What kind of music you into, Joe?
I like the old rock and roll, actually.
What is it? Who you like? Who you pumping in the car? Who you going crazy to? Who you banging on the steering wheel to?
Whoa.
It's funny because
He's losing his shit. He knows. I want to know who Joe Pistone goes off to. Come on.
I'll tell you what.
Come on, Joe.
I YouTube every night. I mean, you might think I'm crazy. Is Chuck Berry,
I like Chuck Berry.
All
Chuck
right.
Berry,
I rock with him.
Jerry Lee Lewis,
The Killer. I worked his birthday party in New York 5 years ago.
Little Richard.
Okay.
Woo!
I love George Thorogood.
Seen him a bunch of times.
Right?
We had a conversation about him yesterday.
I drink alone.
Yesterday, yeah, I drink alone. We were talking about him yesterday.
George Thorogood. I've seen him about 4 or 5 times.
He plays a good
And that guy tears a bar apart. He rips the roof off the joint.
Yeah, I mean-
He comes out at 1,000,000 miles an hour and never hits the brakes.
Yeah, I mean, he is
Love him.
great. Yeah.
I'm a
Starkman.
diehard Rolling Stones fan. I love them.
wrong.
But what I do is, like, if I hear a song on the radio, I'll put it like I like. I have like 300 songs. When I go to the gym, when I go to work out, I play all kinds of music. But I diehard Stones fan.
In between Barbara Streisand and
No,
shit like that.
Maybe
You don't
Tito-
bring me flowers anymore.
Tito Puente for you or something.
There you go. They get him.
Oh, you know what I was telling
Lopez.
Hold on one second. Remind me what a question about Los Feos. No, I was telling him how he got a chapter, the one that says El Judío Grande.
Yeah,
That means
yeah.
the big
The
Jew.
big Jew, yeah.
And please, nobody, don't persecute me because I just used that word. And I was telling him how in salsa history, two of the biggest salsa guys are Larry and Andy Harlow,
yeah.
who are both Jewish dudes, and their parent, his mother was opera, his father was a jazz musician,
And they get
and those guys are
a lot of the credit
they're,
for their salsa.
they're two of the most revered salsa guys from the
Fania
from the
All-Stars.
Fania All-Stars, and they call them Los Judíos Maravillosos, the marvelous Jews.
Oh, yeah. That was a funny
That's what
story,
they call
yeah.
them.
One thing I want to mention is that Bob's Jewish. I'm stone cold Sicilian. What have I been teaching them?
So Joe's been teaching me the Bonanno crime family recipe.
Oh,
He'll
you're talking about
this is
the-
unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Actually, so he teaches me. He gives me the recipe. I cook it, bake it, whatever. I save it. I always give you some. I get the approval. And the only thing is that when I told him one day, I think I hurt his feelings. I said, Joe, I got an air fryer.
Whoa,
he
I
says
just
to me.
bought an air fryer.
This-
So
No,
I
listen.
said that- wait.
Listen,
So he's been cooking. I mean,
pretty good.
real.
I'm about to buy one. You look at the history of my
No,
Amazon because this guy
No,
won't leave
this
me
is
alone.
Italian food.
Listen
Listen
to
to
that.
Listen, I'm talking about
Yeah.
all the Italian food.
Because he came, yeah.
So he says, I got an air fryer.
My
It's-
daughter and her
it's
husband
great."
bought it for me. Yeah.
I said, no real Italian chef
It's putting their arancinis in there.
is cooking in an air fryer, Bob.
Well, you came over
I
to
said, you're
dinner.
not making gravy,
No.
sauce,
No.
in an air
No.
fryer, whichever term you want to use.
Right. But what he didn't tell you was when he came over with his wife.
He's over there making cutlets in it.
No. I made a whole dinner. What was the best bread you had? Where did the Italian bread come out of?
The air fryer.
The air fryer. Let me tell you. I should get a percentage of these air fryers.
You should be,
Well,
you
at
should.
At my job, within like a week, I got 6 people to buy air fryer. I come on telling them he's buying an air fryer. Everybody.
So
This guy and my buddy CZ, shout out CZ. They've been, oh my God, these guys, I make fried Twinkies. I'm like, I don't want fried Twinkies.
Nah, listen what he did. So my son-in-law bought me and my daughter. They bought me for Christmas And my son-in-law said, there's those that have air fryers and there's those that don't. You now have one. So I'm in Costco. I see an air fryer.
Cult.
It was Joe's birthday.
There you go.
Joe now, there's those that have air fryers and there's those that don't. He now has one.
There you go.
So, right? I mean, it's not that bad.
Joe, let me find out you're putting that on genies in there,
Nah.
and you doing cutlets in there.
Let me
Come
tell
on.
you though, you'd be surprised. I'll give you an example. When Friedman came, I told you he made a filet mignon. There was a couple of pounds left. He said, "Hey, you want to take some of this? Try it in the air fryer." My kid's not even a steak eater. He's like, "Dad, can you make some more of that?" That's how good it was in the air
I
fryer.
cooked the chicken in there, and you go on the grill. You got it looks like a cell bar. The bars, and it was the best on it. I mean, there's certain things. Believe it or not, I cook a New York bialy every morning. I buy frozen New York bialys.
Yep.
I put it in there for 5 minutes. It's the best. The best. I just gotta say one thing. You're talking about
Air
salads.
fryer people, you better give us some love on this, damn it.
One thing I forgot, I have two really close basketball coaches that have helped me tonight, and I forgot to mention. It's so funny when you write a book, you try to remember, you remember. Even like that one section I had with I had the different jokes that people had, the talking stories. But a very good friend, Dave Smart, he's from Carleton University in Canada. He came down, I met him 17 years ago. He was coming down for 17 years with his team working out. I forgot to mention him. Of all the coaches, he's one of the greatest. And my friend Barry Rawson, also known as Slice. I was with him yesterday, and I forgot to mention
There
in the
you
books,
go.
and now they got
I
it.
mentioned today.
Right.
Can I mention a podcast that I have?
Go ahead, brother.
I told you. It's
Come
all
on,
about
man.
you.
Talk
You're not
about
gonna
you guys.
cut it, are you?
No, not at all.
I
Hey,
might.
listen, this is live. We're broadcasting
We're
live.
live.
You're live.
Yeah, this is live.
I have a podcast. It's on Jam Street Media. It's a production company, and it's called Deep Cover.
Deep Cover.
The real Donnie Brasco.
Deep
And-
cover.
And of course, you can get on any place you get your
All your
Cover
streaming.
The real Donnie Brasco. Look for that.
right. And Jam Street Media is
All right.
is a
Jam Street
production
Media, Deep Cover, the real Donnie
And since we're
Brasco.
talking about it,
Check it, people, on all your streaming.
go buy his book,
company. And my book,
Donnie Brasco, The Wise Guys,
Unfinished Business.
Unfinished Business. Bob Starkman inside both courts. Good read.
Amazon. Don't act like you ain't on it right now.
Pandemic ain't over yet. You have plenty of time to read.
Now I got another podcast coming up, and
Let's blow that one up too.
It's called The Undercovers, and I'm season 2 on it. My good friend Eddie Follis, retired DE agent who's done tons of undercover work, was season 1, and I'm season 2, and I think we got nine episodes in the can, and Ed O'Neill, the actor,
Yep.
he's the main
Married
narrator,
with children.
and
Yeah.
and Ray Liotta, the
Ray
other
Liotta, oh, yeah.
actor, is the other narrator, and
Nice.
that'll be probably dropping in maybe a couple months.
Look for
Fantastic.
that. The undercovers.
Starkman, question. How do you feel about the sports thing, getting involved in the politics and all the other stuff? And how do you feel with the players getting involved? Or do you think it's a job? Go to work, do your job, leave that at home. You do that. How do you feel about these companies getting involved and bowing down to the media and all this stuff?
Well, I'll plead the half a fifth on this one, but
So give me
I
2.5.
believe, what I believe, I believe that athletes, when we were kids, we looked up to athletes. I think athletes need to get the right point across, and I think there's a certain way to do it. Me personally, kneeling has nothing to do with the American flag and what it stands for. I'm against that. People should voice their opinion, no matter what it is. I know you should voice it in the right way.
That's it.
It's the
platform.
right way of doing it, and it's also not being a hypocrite. I think if you're going to do something, anything in life, especially with the way our world is right now, do it for the right reason, but do it the right way. There's more that I think athletes can really influence in a positive way, and there's a way to get across, and I think that's the important thing, how to do it and do it right.
There's a platform for everybody to do it because it means something,
Right
not
venue.
because everybody else is doing it and you think it's cool.
Well, do it for the right reason.
Exactly.
If there's a problem, teach what's right and wrong. We all come from different backgrounds. People didn't know my background. I basically raised myself to an extent.
Yeah.
But I made sure I went the right path by being around the right people, listening to the right people, and more importantly, learning from the mistakes I made. I think that's a reflection on why my children are the way they are today, successful, parents, married, and I believe that, it's so important to give the right message, and there's a way of doing it. violence, and do it the right way, and that's anything like that. And that,
It goes a lot further too.
right.
People respect.
And
it.
kids will
It's-
look up these athletes.
It's funny because it's funny how you said you grew up you know respecting athletes. It's funny because I still want to give my Coca-Cola to meet Joe Green.
Yeah,
And
right.
I felt like a weirdo as a kid
I don't
growing
think people
up.
know what you're talking about.
You know,
but we do, yeah.
no, but I felt like a weirdo sometimes as a kid growing up. People would say, "Who's that black guy in his shirt?" I'm like, "It's Pele," and they go, "Who?" And I go, "Forget it."
Yeah,
And
right.
you know, what I mean? People never knew. Who is that guy, Pele? I don't know who he is. I'm like disregarded. I'm like, damn, I'm such an outsider. But me and him, like, I feel bad. He's a baseball freak, this guy, and I feel
He
so
looks
bad.
like one of those like Mark McGuire doctor guys.
Hey,
I resemble.
I
I
plead
mean,
the fifth.
so I feel bad. Like, I know my man wasn't watching last season because all the political stuff in there and all that BS, and he's like, dude, I can't watch it.
That was my
Well,
thing.
and-
I love the sports and everything. The world was going crazy. I want to watch sports for 3 hours and forget
The
about the
sport.
world.
Yeah.
Well,
You don't want to see anybody kneel it,
That's
not
it.
kneel.
Right. The
kneel
thing
it,
is,
You have your right, just the right platform. Like
I
you
spoke
said.
in my book about my upbringing. My father worked in the South Bronx. He would bring me there. To me, I don't look at black, white, Chinese, Hungarian, whatever. People are people. And the one thing, listen, in law enforcement, we've all had allegations against us. Believe me, I don't know how many times I got my Miranda warnings read to me.
Oh, yeah.
I will tell you, in basketball, in 25, 26 years as a college coach, a lot of allegations. I pulled a gun on somebody, I have a wiretap on somebody. Oh, I had them all. Never once did I have anything about me using any type of racial, ethnic slur. I've always taught my guys, the right thing to do. And I thought that's my part. And who am I? I was a small junior college coach. And I think I've gotten through to a lot of kids, whether it's getting pulled over, shut your mouth, turn your light on, put your hands up, don't say a word. If there's a problem, take the guy's number down. Don't say nothing. I think those are the things that we need.
He teaches a class. He teaches that. I always say they need to teach a class called "Shut the Fuck Up," and you're teaching it. Thank you.
And that's it. And I always stress, like me personally, I could go anywhere and speak, and I speak the truth. And I think the important thing is, which I forgot to say before, is people need to be told what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And I think that's one of the things as a coach I've always done. No, like I said, I could give you 100 emails and phone numbers of my players. Yeah, I was nasty. I had a big mouth, but the one thing I was, when we lived that little area, life lessons, and I've heard it back, and that to me is the most important thing. Hearing from players that I didn't get along with, let's say they weren't. Now they call me, boy, you were right. And that again, I don't look at it as me. I got through to somebody, and if I could do it as Bob Stockman, who am I?
Yeah.
Other than buy my book, why can't athletes and other people do that? And wash away the bullshit and be real.
And like you said, they have a platform and a big following. Those are the people are looking up to. You got to send the right message at the right time.
I'd like to know that I've at least impacted lives of the kids I've coached and play. Even hearing from, I just heard from a teammate, Herb Stewart. I haven't heard from him in 40 years. He reached out for me. Or hearing from a player, or even like yesterday, my friend said, "Hey, can you bring Joe for lunch?" I said, "You're paying, we're coming."
There you go.
What I'm saying? But that's a reflection of who he is. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And that's what I think it's about. You know what I mean? It's about the right communication. When I go in to talk to teams and camps, I show them the phone. Your worst enemy right here. Your worst enemy.
That's it.
Your worst enemy. I tell kids, I know a young kid, he's put in for a police job now. I said, man, you got to wipe out half your stuff. Not that it's not still. You're going to show you're in a bar, drinking, partying. They're going to do your background. They're going to pull it up. Boom.
I'll give you an example. It happened to me. I was a lieutenant looking to become captain. My social media was out of control. Nothing negative about my agency.
Benching like 500 pounds, like with one hand.
Yeah, but it was a lot of trash. And I got a call, and they told me, you want upward mobility, you need to clean up your social media. And sure as shit, about 2 weeks after I shut it down, I get promoted.
Well,
so
if you do, again, that's one of the things with social media. And my son told me, with his company, he said, hey, promote it on social media. Go to party, get on these things. Do it for the right reason. Don't go putting up there like, you're drunk at a bar, smacking or, beating somebody. Idiots are going to like that. But it's going to come back to bite you in the ass.
Kick in the ass.
Right,
I don't want
exactly.
that. You don't
I'm
want
going through a
that.
little similar situation like that with one of my kids. He's trying to get off a clothing line, but same thing. He's going about it the wrong way on social media. So I'm glad we had this discussion. Hey, did you hear this?
My son's
But
business.
his son built a
Multi-million.
multi-million-dollar sock business on social media,
That's
you
what
know,
he uses.
by advertising on
That's
social
crazy.
media.
And remember that Rock'em Apparel.
We'll get him. We'll get him. Quick question, Joe.
Yes, sir.
What was where was your head at when Lefty asked you about could you whack somebody? Because obviously you never went in. You went as a jewel guy.
Right.
You went as defense. That was your thing. So did you see things getting a little hairy when he asked you about whacking somebody?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was given contracts to kill people. You know, one particular. I don't know if you saw the movie,
Well,
but 3 guys that got whacked.
I'm more of a reader now.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, in the movie,
I saw the movie.
3 guys got whacked.
Yep.
One of them, it was supposed to be 4. One didn't show, and I got the contract to kill him.
So you didn't show for a reason.
You know, I don't know that we ever knew why he didn't show. He just didn't show.
Thought he
But
was
I got
next.
the contract to kill him. There was a situation where, and when you get in the mob, when I'm talking about the Italian mafia, when you get a contract to kill somebody, it's your responsibility that he gets killed.
Handle it.
And you don't decline the contract because then they'll
You
whack
become the
you.
contract.
Yeah, then you become.
No, it's really not for me. I'm
Yeah,
tied up.
yeah,
I got a lot
that
of going on right now.
That doesn't work. So we're in the club one day, and I'm answering your question, but you asked me where my head was during the operations, all my undercover operations. So we're in the club one day, and telephone rings, and my capo, who was Sonny Black, yeah, okay, and writing something down. He said, Donnie, Bruno's at this address. I gotta go saddle up. So, of course, the other guys in the crew, they're there. Okay, we grabbed the pistols, got into the car. Now, if we get to that address, Bruno's a dead man. Bruno's a dead man because I'm with these guys now like
It's written on the wall.
5.5 years. Am I gonna go in there and say, hey guys, I'm really
undercover. I can't do it.
oh yeah, Donnie, yeah, we leave it. My whole mindset is I don't die for a gangster. I take my shot with the government. I die for a citizen, but I'm not dying for a gangster. So if we get to that address, Bruno's done. Luckily, before we leave, the phone rings. Sonny says, hold up. Comes back and said, forget it. It's bum information. But again, I don't die for a gangster. No.
What about the mixed emotions of the betrayal you felt at Louise's mother's funeral?
You know, again,
Because you're dipping in out of 2 lifestyles.
No.
I've seen you always say you stay in your lane mentally,
Yeah.
and I think
Always.
that's the best thing. In it.
Always. I never got out of that. I'm an FBI agent. I'm conducting an investigation, and it's undercover.
Because you wouldn't even drink with these guys because you're not a drinker, so
I'm not a drinker.
you always just
The
say you didn't drink.
The extent of my drinking is a half a bottle of beer, even to this day, and a glass of wine. That's the extent of and I grew up in bars because my dad had bars. In fact, I was born above a bar, in the house above our bar, you know. So I never was a drinker, even growing up. But my whole thing is, look, everybody makes choices in life. You chose to be a gangster. I chose to be in law enforcement.
Mm.
Now, did I want to see Sonny Black get whacked? Now, I knew a couple years into the operation that when this thing goes down, he's going to get whacked. Lefty's going to get whacked. Tony Mira's going to get whacked too. I used to pray that Tony Mira got whacked while the operation was going on, and they whacked another guy, a Colombo guy that I knew, over me. Seeing people go to jail didn't bother me, not at all.
Because you knew that was their lifestyle, their choice.
That's your lifestyle. That's your choice. I mean, and I broke bread with these guys. I mean, I think ate at their houses, knew their
Holidays.
kids, holidays, knew their wives. But hey, I didn't choose for you to be a gangster. You know, so I had no problem with them getting arrested and going to Cannes. Uh, I felt bad when they whacked Sonny uh, because I like Sonny.
Now, where was the clubhouse? Where were you guys operating out of? Were you guys in the Bronx or up
No.
on Mulberry?
Uh, the first few years, I was down in Mulberry Street, and when Sonny Black became my captain, went out to Brooklyn. Graham and Withers was our social club.
Okay, yeah, Grandma.
Was the Motion Lounge. Was Sonny's club. Once when, like I say, and even you know, did I feel bad? They get whacked. I felt bad, but I didn't lose sleep over it.
Hey, you're human. You make connections, but again, like you say, as long as you stayed in your lane, that helped you get through it.
When everything went down with Lucky, did you ever have to face him afterward?
No, well, only in a courtroom.
Yeah, in a courtroom,
and he was like, he went cuckoo in a courtroom.
Yeah, he had colorful words for you, no doubt.
Yeah, it was in the trial in Tampa when he jumped up and he we got a crowded courtroom.
Did Pacino do him justice as Lefty? Because he seemed like probably wasn't the sharpest guy because he wasn't.
No. That was the movie take on it.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Jerrio was a very, very sharp individual.
So he was an earner.
He was an earner.
Okay.
He was a very sharp individual. You gotta know when they write fucking movie scripts.
Yeah.
What they have to put in.
Oh, we've done movies for tactical stuff.
Okay.
And and they're like, hey, we want the SWAT team coming in from this way. I'm like, dude, they would be done for.
Yeah.
Well, cinematographer.
Yeah.
All right,
So
dude,
you- so
come in
you-
this way.
Yeah. Got the gist of it.
Yeah,
Lefty Lefty, and if you notice how in the beginning of the movie how Al dressed down, and then as the movie progressed, he dressed better. Well, Lefty always dressed fastidiously. I mean, he was always dressed, not a tie, but always had nice slacks, nice sport coat, nice.
What about? Did he tell you to get rid of your jeans? You look like you got a rodeo.
Yeah.
I
had to shave my mustache too.
Johnny Depp told me that in the movie. Remember?
Yeah.
I thought this guy always had a mustache when I went up to New York. I do it. Remember when what's his name? Burt Reynolds shaved his mustache. It was a big thing.
Yeah.
So Johnny Depp, we're up in Manhattan in the producer's place there, and he's like, "You gotta shave your mustache." I go, "Yeah." I'm thinking believe me, I was just nobody in the movie. I had to shave my mustache because they said at the time made men.
Gangsters.
Yeah, I thought he was kid like I'm gonna go in the bathroom and shave it. So
That's hysterical.
me and Burt Reynolds have a lot in common.
See that?
Right.
Sonny, I had a good relationship with Lefty too, but be honest with you, if I thought I could have got away, I would have fucking strangled Lefty. I mean, the guy was a hard guy to be with.
He seemed high maintenance.
He was high maintenance, but he was an encyclopedia of a mob. He taught me more. He really schooled me on when they would groom me to become a made guy. He told me how to act. He told me what to do. He was an encyclopedia on the mafia, but he was a hard guy to be with every day. Just to give you an example, and I think the scene was in the movie. It's fucking legit. We're in Miami now. Number one, he didn't like air conditioning, so you could never have the air conditioning.
I saw that. He always said, "You're gonna make me sick. You're gonna give me a cold."
So now you can imagine being in Miami. It's 90 degrees. You got the windows up, and he's smoking English ovals, and you're fucking gagging. You're gagging. I put the window down. I turned the air conditioner.
And especially for non-smokers, somebody lights up in a car, we're dying.
Yeah, and especially when it's 90 degrees out, no air on.
Oh.
So I turned the air on. He turned it off. I put the window down. He put the window up. I mean, it was like. A tough guy to be around. And everything was left.
That's it.
All about me, all about left.
All about. I remember one time. These are. What people forget is these guys are human beings too. They got same problems everybody else.
Everybody.
He had a root canal done, and that's all I fucking heard about for a week. What do you think happened?
We both got root canals and gone out that night.
What do you think happens? A couple of weeks later, who has to get a root canal?
You-
Me. But it was like,
That's it. Got a root canal.
no, it made no difference.
How crazy did it how crazy was it when he approached you about the boat?
It was.
Because that seems like such a effed up scene that when
Yeah.
the paper, the rubber hit the road and he put it in your face and you had to do some quick tap dancing.
Yeah, exactly. Luckily, and I tell you, the thing about Lefty, he had a mind like an elephant. I mean, he could recall conversations verbatim that we had 2 years.
And that's why he told you, you always know what you're saying. You planted that because in the movie he told you planted that in his mind about Florida.
Yeah.
And and he told you
No,
never
yeah.
say nothing to say nothing.
Yeah, what happened with and what I said to him left. We were luckily we were in San Diego, and we were having dinner, and there were two ladies, and he sends them over he sends them over a drink, and then he says to the waitress, their dinner, they were by themselves, their dinner's on us, and they come by and they thank us, and we start BSing with them. So I said, look, don't you remember, I was talking to that one lady, and she said, where are you guys from? And I said, we're from Miami visiting. We go between Miami, New York. And she said, whoa, if you're ever in Miami, she said, call my brother. He's a boat captain. He has a boat. Well, he said, Donnie, I really don't. I said, left her. How else would I know about this guy that's got a fucking boat, this gigantic boat in Miami? I wouldn't know him otherwise. He kind of bought it, but he always was like on the fence with it, So, but
Mind of an elephant, huh?
there were a lot of there were a lot of incidences where you didn't see him in the movie. I mean, because you're talking, the movie's 2 hours and we're talking 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
Another thing too is that it's in the book, but this is the first time ever where when I'm saying we, the FBI, I was able to engineer a marriage between the Bonanos and the mafia family in Milwaukee. All right, through because the FBI had an undercover operation going in Milwaukee, they weren't going anywhere, so they asked me if I can bring the Bonanos out there. I did, and then I engineered another marriage between the Bonanos and Santa Trafficani, the mafia boss of Florida. I mean, that's never heard of, never done before.
Yeah.
Things like that. And in the Milwaukee thing, it went south, and because there was a leak, and they found out that the undercover was really an agent, and we didn't find that out till later, after the operation was over. But one night, Lefty sent it, so we had to get the undercover out of the operation, and it's a moneymaker. I mean, these guys are in it for money. That's all it is.
Earning.
How much money you can earn. But at any rate, to make a long story short, they send me out to Milwaukee to find Ty, the undercover agent. And of course, we know that he's. So I tell him, hey, I can't find him. He's not at his apartment. He's gone. He said, well, go look, So I tell him I find his car at the airport, and there's blood in it, and they might have whacked him. So then he tells me, well, come on back. He says, but take the late flight, and when you get in, meet me at this bar up on the east side. And I'm thinking, why the fuck am I meeting at a bar on the east side when we're down a Little Italy?
Yeah. Says the radar's off, huh?
And I knew the bar because we had been there a couple of times, but it wasn't a place that we frequent And he says, make sure you don't get into like 11 o'clock at night or something. Now, I mean, all this
That
is,
just all sounds hinky.
all this is strange.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, if I call the FBI, you know, the guy that's running they're going to tell me don't go. Well, like if I don't go, what does that look like? So I go, I fly in, grab a cab, go to the bar, and I walk in, and there's two guys at the bar that I know. I knew these guys were hitters. I'm saying, oh fuck. But I walk in, say hello to them, sit down. Next thing, Lefty walks in, and then he just starts berating me that I fucked up the operation because it's money. You know? Never got an answer why he told me he wanted me to come in at night, why to meet at this place, but it worked out. You know, I mean, that was just one of many. I mentioned Tony Mira. The guy was the meanest guy I ever met. I mean, stone cold, fucking killer. I mean, the other wise guys didn't like him, but he was a tremendous moneymaker in the drug trade for the bananas. Spent a lot of time in the can. Was jealous of my associate. He was the first one that brought me into bananas because I first had.
No, it's Tony Mira.
Yeah, I'd been hanging out with the Columbos.
Okay.
And then I had a beef with two guys in the Columbos. I got into a physical altercation with two of them, and I knew I couldn't hang out with this crew anymore. So I started to hang out more with Mira. He brings me into the Bananos, introduces me to Lefty, and then he goes back to the can. Mira goes back to the can, and then when he does a couple years. When he gets back out, he thinks I'm making all kind of money because we had the club down in Miami now, and I'm with Sonny Black. So he puts a beef into me. He puts a beef in saying that I stole $250,000 in the drug deal that we did before he went away. So he calls to sit down. He loses that sit down. He calls two more sit downs, but Sonny Black wins all three of them. Now, if you lose a sit down and it's over stealing money, you're dead. You know, so
That's how that mediation ends.
yeah. and there's no
Instant justice.
Yeah.
there's no
appealing.
there's no appeal system. You know?
That's bullshit. It should be a union, right? Yeah,
You're
right.
done. You're done.
That's
You're
good.
done.
Of course, Starkman. You started coaching for your daughter, right? That's where you.
I started
That's
coaching
where
my
you.
daughter when she started playing the young age.
So is that where you got bit?
Well, what happened was people are different. I don't have to live my life through my kids. You know, I started coaching her to teach the game. You know, and then she kept on moving on. And then my other son started playing, and my other son started playing. I had my daughter in the travel team, kept on coaching, and then one day, a coworker of mine and a friend I grew up with, Miles, he calls me up. He says, "Hey, Broward College is hiring a part-time assistant coach." So for the heck of it, you know, it's like the old expression: you go fishing, you don't throw the line in, you're not getting a bite.
Mm-hmm.
I put in for it. I got hired. It was part-time, so I had to work around, you know, my scheduling, and believe me, over the years, I took a lot of beef for that because of a lot of overzealous people, you know, in the government. Anyhow, I started coaching. I was the women's assistant coach for 2 years. They fired the head coach. They made me the head women's coach. So I did that for 2 years. And this was like a scene from Joe's movie. John Giordano was the acting athletic director. We're at a basketball game. It's raining out. And he says, "Come on, we're going to the game." Oh, no, he asked me to go to a high school game with him. Why am I going to a men's game? I'm the women's coach. He says, "I got good news and bad news." Okay? Give me the bad news first. "Oh, you're not coaching the girls anymore." It's not so bad. What's the good news? Well, you're going to coach the men's team. Well, I don't know if maybe it was the other way around. Because the program I took over, I think they were 2-28 the year before.
Oh, wow.
Ouch.
What I did was, you know, we didn't have a big budget. I'm a part-time coach. Everybody else is full-time in the state. I reached out for my contacts in New York, guys I grew up with, and they started sending me players, and I couldn't even see these guys play. And I mean, my first year, we went 18-12. I had the Player of the Year.
Big improvement.
Junior college Player of the Year. We had NBA teams coming to see him. Nate Daniels. Brought in Joe Marino, a kid from New York, from Brooklyn, who's Uncle No Shoe, I think, right? Yeah. They didn't work together. Well, they might have. But I've had so many great players. Second year, never forget, I get a phone call from my buddy Rock Eisenberg. He says, hey, man, I got a player for you. Just got done coaching him in an all-star game. I still remember picking the phone up. Cell phones weren't popular. He said, 2 years, the kid's good enough to play in the Big East. I had to take him sight unseen. Little skinny kid, 6'5", 175, Adrian Uta. Makes All-American. We ranked 19th in the country that year. Next year, we're ranked 20th in the country. You know, again, it just kept on progressing. And again, it was all because of context. And that's what I believe my law enforcement and the way of life should be. It's like, you know, Tommy O'Keefe used to always go like this to me, Kyle. One hand washes the other. But in the right way. It's not like, what have you done for me? Don't do something with the intention of getting something back. But if you help people, they're going to help you for the most part.
I got a friend of mine that says if we're keeping score, we're doing business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem is, you know, it's a I like to say basketball's a bad business for the most part, because as I progressed, and I was very fortunate to have great teams. I had a lot of great players. We won a lot of games. Now remember, that's a feeder now as a junior college for the 4-year schools. I did a total of 21 years at Broward, which I was able to double dip, get a second pension. Dante Calabria, who played at North Carolina, he was a great player, played overseas, won a national championship, took over at Kaiser University up here in West Palm Beach. He asked me if I'd like to be his full-time assistant. I said absolutely, gave me a great opportunity. I'm on vacation. Turns out Dante leaves to go coach professionally in Italy with Larry Brown. They make me the interim head coach. And, you know, I joke, I said I took the Bad News Bears to a winning record. It was a tough situation. You know, they didn't renew my contract, which is a nice way of saying they're firing me. It didn't matter. I mean, I'm okay. Then I started working as an assistant coach at Florida National just to stay in the game. I do a lot of work for a guy, Joe Dinder. He's a sports agent. I work a lot of his European camps, which I enjoy. You know, you're coaching, you're evaluating players, and moving on. And the whole thing, which I like to get at, especially again the concept and my idea with the book is the teamwork, working together. Learning from your mistakes. People would come up to me and say, your son is 6'10". He doesn't play basketball. Man, he chooses not to. I don't have to live my life to my kids. I don't. There's a lot of obsessed parents out there. But I will tell you one thing, he's making a hell of a lot more money than he would if he was playing basketball. My daughter was the basketball player. She stopped playing. She played in high school, played in college, Thank God. Married a great guy. Chuck's great father. He's a friend, I consider him. Joe, we all know him. He had 2 great kids. My younger one was the baseball player. He was a manager, as my son was at University of Central Florida. My younger one, Danny, was a manager at University of Florida. Fast forward the clock, did an internship with the Atlanta Hawks. He's in his 6th season in the NBA. So figure it out. The baseball plays with basketball. The basketball plays a mother. The 6'10" guy does socks. But again, I think it all comes from something you teach. You're a product of your environment, and that's more what my book is about. Like what I've learned, what I'm able to teach. Hey, listen, I never realized, like, you do a job. Wayne Roberts once told me, when the job isn't fun, you stop. And the reason I stopped is in the book, because I thought I was getting shot, but it was from another agent.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back now, reflecting, like, these were the best times of my life. And like I said, if I would do it, I would do it all over again. You're always going to have roadblocks on the way. And it's like, somebody's going to come up to you just like any of us. Oh, he's a jackass, So I always say, sit in a room with 5 people. One person says, he's the greatest guy in the world. Nobody's going to come back and say, hey, they say Joe's the greatest guy in the world. 2 people say he's an asshole. What are they going to do? Hey, Joe, someone says he's an asshole. So, like, I learned, you don't care about that. Care about what you did. If you know you did something and you made an impact in life, and that's what my book's about. Not me, what we did. Yeah. And it's like, it's a great reflection. And I'm actually waiting for my kids to read the book, because I got back, the prototype, like when they made the prototype. I'll be honest with you, I was ready to just say, okay, let it go. My wife was such a savior. She read the book in like a day, and she found about 17 or 18 different things. I touched them, the little things. It might have been spelling your name right. So, that's not the editor's fault. She would know. Brought it back to the editor. Boom, 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 boom. Alexis. It was done. And then I felt great. And then here we are today. So to me, it's an experience. And I'm glad, again, there's going to be people that are going to say things, as my daughter said, have tough skin. And I have friends, and that's what it's about, and it's like just, planting that seed and hopefully it just grows.
Me and him, we run on haterade. We
right.
run. Our gas tank gets filled with haterade, and we run on it. All right, big question for you, brother. What would you tell the 20-year-old John Starkman?
John
John
Starkman?
Starkman, Bob Starkman. What would you tell him?
If I have a 20-year-old, I don't know about it.
What would you tell the 20-year-old version of yourself?
20-year-old version
If
of
you can
myself.
pick up a phone right now and tell 20-year-old version
I
of
know
you and say, hey,
who am I like if I was 20 right now?
no, you're talking to your 20-year-old version of you. What would you tell him? What would you tell him to maybe get through some adversity later down the road? What tips would you give him?
Well, see, my situation was tough. Not raised with a mother, and my father wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a roof to live in. He was working. He wasn't there. For the most part, I always said, just like me personally, I learned from my mistakes. You look up to people. It's like.
But what would you throw him for a cheat sheet? What would you slide him over and say, hey,
Don't
man?
do this, don't do that, don't do that.
There'd be a lot of don't do's. I can tell you that because there was a lot of don't do's I did.
Perseverance.
Go out, work. Seek something,
Grind
work
it.
for that goal. Right now, kids, they want to make money without working. They don't know what it's like. I don't like to use the word struggle, but it's climbing that ladder. And I always tell my
Everybody wants a fast track.
right. I tell basketball players,
Me.
right.
Yep.
What I tell my players is, I said, listen, man, set your goals for here. If you get here, you did damn good. But if you're sending for here and you're down here waiting, accomplish nothing.
Pull up a chair.
Just keep on, push forward, be honest, be careful. We're in a tough world right now. This world is crazy, I believe, but I think be the best you can be, be the best person you can be, and like I said, I always like what Wayne Roberts told me, don't ever lie to me, I'll go to the wolf, lie to me, I'll throw you off the
That's
wall.
kinda-
I live by that.
It's kind of funny because, I was a use of force instructor for my agency, and I would always tell the new guys, hey, look, internal affairs, they're a lot easier with a mistake than a lie. So I'm just telling you, if you got to take the walk of shame, take the walk of shame. But if they catch you in a lie, they sell you out in half a second.
Yeah.
And our department was like that. They were better off with a mistake and say, hey, man.
Yeah, but I saw a lot of times, and at least with our agency, you had a lot of vindictive internal affairs
Oh,
agents.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I've had some instances where, like I had to write a statement. I don't know how to type.
Yep.
You type. And then all of a sudden I'm reading it, I said, I didn't say this. And I'm not signing this.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I asked for a copy, they wouldn't provide, which they
What?
have to. Oh, no. Oh, I'm just saying.
Yep.
So that's where you have to, first thing I did, I called up a friend of mine that's an attorney. I also called up FLEO, which is the federal law.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this ain't right. But, and I always say one thing, without telling the story, karma is a bitch. And I always remember that. That's all I'm going to say.
Loses nobody's address.
I always say karma's a boomerang. That
Oh, you
fucker
will
comes
be there
around.
reading there. There's two stories there. Karma is a bitch. And again, like you said, even a wise guy, you don't wish him dead. There's a reason things happen, and I believe it. And that's why you always say, be a good person, good things will happen.
Oh, yeah. Any regrets on your end, Mr. Pistone?
I didn't put more people in jail.
200 in.
So you didn't work hard enough?
Pardon?
What do you think? You didn't work hard enough? Come on.
200 ain't enough.
I
I don't think some offices don't arrest 200 people.
They should have had him in training day. He built jails because of me. They should have had you in training day.
My regret is I miss my kids growing up. I miss their formative years. That's
Have
my
you made amends with that with them
yeah.
yourself?
Yeah, sure.
Good man. That must be a great feeling.
No Uncle Bob now.
They know. If you could pick up the phone and call the 20-year-old version of yourself, anything you would whisper in his ear, any cheat sheet you would slide him and say, hey man,
Be true to your
check this out,
be
because
true to your beliefs. Be true to yourself, and again, perseverance, and do what you think is right.
you guys did great stuff, both of you in your own worlds. Again, you ended up with books, movies. You ended up, you're coaching. That's your thing. That's your spiel. You ended up from Queens, New York, from Bronx to Queens to here.
One stop in California.
One stop, and it's a beautiful thing. And you guys are on black and white. You're official as a referee with a whistle, and You guys are some badasses. Like I said, for me to say that we were blessed to be in a room with you today,
It's an understatement.
totally.
Glad you had
I
us.
appreciate you having me.
No, you
Same here.
guys are great Americans. Like I said, I want all of us in a room with Ralph Friedman. Though. I'm gonna call that out again,
You
Ralph.
better rent like Leonard's of Great Neck or something
You know-
when they do bar mitzvahs because
you
they'll
know-
take about 5,000 people. Trust me, right? Am
You
I
know
wrong?
what I mean?
To this day, I told you, we walked in there. He's like, "What the fuck?"
You
Like
know.
there was people coming in. You like they were sitting right. I remember you were sitting
The
there
hardest,
looking at me.
the hardest part's gonna be the
But
menu.
that was nice. But it
The
was,
hardest part's
that
gonna be
was a good gesture.
what are,
you know.
what are we gonna do for the menu? We're gonna make it.
Oh, he had
we're
food,
gonna
don't
make it. We're
forget.
gonna make it Spanish, Italian,
Oh.
and kosher.
Oh, yeah, there was plenty of food.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
yeah. And we had to drive you back.
Yeah.
Oh God, it was a ride from hell.
No.
But it was fun. It was like I remember when I told Ralph when I first met him that I said, "Hey, I know Joe Pistone." He was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, hold on." I get him on the phone. Like two little kids. Like you figure
Yeah.
him on his side and Ralph on his side. But the ironic thing was we took a picture of Paul, Ralph, and Joe Corbel, a cop. And when I looked at the picture, remember I told you about the article?
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me, the article was right behind us. I mean, it was just like
That's
a freak of
freakish.
yeah.
That's something.
But it's funny how everything revolves around. Like I'm at this retirement party. I got to tell that story. Remember your first retirement party? You remember this? And I get up there and I said, "No, people don't know this. Like how I met Joe." And he goes, "Look," I said, "I was in a gang." I said, "It started out the Jewish gang, the Young Landlords." Right, and then I said, and I progressed into La Kosher Nostra.
The kosher
Oh,
nose.
And all your old time friends were like,
Oh, gang, I'm gonna get some mail about this one.
Yes.
Give me a little about Los Feos.
Los Feos. I learned about that back in Greenback, Operation Greenback. Los Feos was what the
Feo means
Colombians-
ugly, just so you
They
guys
were
know.
We were the uglies. Like if we hit them for money or dope, we seized it. Because once I used the expression "rip" and I got my Miranda warnings read, and that was an expression we used, they would call us Los Feos. So we actually came up with a T-shirt. And I should send you a picture of it.
Boy.
I still have the patch. It's like it had an octopus with all the tentacles holding a cell phone, a bag of money, dope, guns. They would say we would take everything, seize everything. Excuse me.
Seas.
Yeah. So that's where we became Los Feos.
Nice.
All right, because when we started with them, so it was a badge of honor to be
That was
a Los
We
Feos.
were the uglies, and I learned that again from
Yeah.
working in Operation Greenback.
Los Feos, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny how like you said, you got nicknamed Julio Grande, the big Jew. You really can't hide too well in a surveillance.
No. No, and that's how that happened. And in jail, they used to call me Bigfoot
Yes.
because I used to wear steel-tip shoes. Never had to use my hands. But at 275, you ain't moving.
Oh, fuck.
Right on your tongue. So, damn, that's Bigfoot.
Now, you were down here in '86.
85.
86 is when the FBI had the shootout.
Yeah, I remember that.
How quick did tactics change with everything that went wrong with that shootout with the FBI?
Well, unfortunately, I always said that the government, they react, they don't act. And it's really it's terrible. You know what I mean?
Because we learned a lot of
that-
ugly lessons from
no,
that shootout.
I just think first of all, I never will ever Monday morning quarterback anybody because that could have been any of us. That's number one. I think the weapons would change, right? They went to semi-automatics, different tactics. Even like the other day, there's two agents that got slanted. I'm hearing guys that said, "Whoa, man, you weren't there. Shut up." You know what I mean? Like, don't Monday. It's even with basketball. You didn't call that play. Shut up.
Yep.
I always use my son-in-law as an example. On I think his third tour, something happened, and I think the lieutenant got killed in a Humvee. And actually, when he was going, I think, to an interview, something was said about it, and his response was, "We learned from our mistakes. We trained to get better." And I think that started a trend of that. I mean, you were at the FBI. I'm just saying. I believe that again, it's anything
Well, they
else.
were
Not
under-
for your mistakes. Undermanned.
Underpowered.
Right.
Not undermanned.
Underpowered, right.
Learn and evolve.
Now, most of your time, were you strapped undercover?
No.
No. That's that. When I read that, I was just like, I don't go get a gallon of milk without packing. I'm sorry, I go get a gallon of milk.
We flew down from Connecticut. He bought a gun with him.
Well, you're like, right. You just
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to lock it in your
He
pocket.
goes like, "What do you got in that little Pelican case?" I go,
Yeah.
I'm my fire extinguisher." Like, "You bringing one?" I go, "Yeah."
Well, you could do it. It's funny because the one time I always used to carry a gun on my ankle, and then I had a Beretta that I would carry for work. I was late for surveillance as usual, I show up. Hey, go in here. The guy's in there. I go out. Well, unbeknownst to me, cell phones weren't popular. We had those big brick phones. And I'm yapping on the way
With the
down.
bag, you still had
No,
bag
no,
phones.
no, I'm not that old.
Oh,
So I'm on the phone, and unbeknownst to me, two guys followed me. What they did was they took a spark plug when I got out, and they shot at the spark plug like a
Yeah.
slingshot.
And it pops
Shot
the
at your
window.
Well, it shot at your window because you have
yeah.
the tint on it. Well, inside was my bag. As I'm running after them, they throw it in reverse. Boom! The car hits me. I go for my gun. I don't have it because I left late. I never did that in my life. I left the gun. Now we're in a chase. They got my duffel bag. They got my Beretta, my 3 cell phones. I used to have 3. I don't know if you know about smurfing, but there's the Smurf cell phones. And they had all my equipment, my radio. We actually caught the guy. We're in a chase, and I'm calling it, and they go, "Where are you?" I look up. We're eastbound on 8th Street, and we're turning on Jose Canseco Boulevard. They thought I was kidding. Southwest 6. That's all I saw. I didn't know where I was.
Yep.
They thought I was joking, like being a wise ass. Well, we caught the guy. I was just more concerned I was going to lose my phone.
Yep.
But my whole hand got messed up. And you talk about forgetting a gun. I just forgot. I ran late and I forgot it. I'm probably better off because I would have shot somebody. I probably would be getting out of jail now.
Another version of Miranda rights.
Well, gentlemen, like I said, it's been a pleasure. Ramon, anything for these fine two?
I just have to say, everybody has a story to tell. These guys have a very interesting story. They put it on black and white. Once again, go get the books. You hear it here. You read it. Go see the movie. Listen to the podcast. Undercover. What was the other one?
Deep Cover, The
Deep
Real
Cover.
Donnie Brasco,
The
and
Real Donnie
The Undercovers is the other one.
There you go.
Like I said, it's been a great ride, boys and girls. Check us out. If you checked us out live, thank you. Don't forget, leave a comment. You like it? You want to hate on us? We work on haterade. Trust me. You never heard that one, huh?
I've heard a lot. I don't remember that one.
You know what PhD is?
Go ahead.
Player hater degree. All right, you're gonna use player hater degree soon. You're gonna be like, that guy got a player hater degree, PhD.
That'll be in the next book.
And that'll be the next one. Been a great time, gentlemen. Ramon, we closing out?
Yeah, unfortunately, I live in a blue state, and since I'm visiting a red state, I gotta go get a COVID test in order to get back into my own
Exactly.
state.
So, thank you for
They won't let me
following us.
They won't let me out of the airport if I don't go by COVID.
Exactly. Thank you for following us. I want to thank both of these fine gentlemen for traveling far and wide to come here and rendezvous with us today. And last thing I got to say is, forget about it, guys.
Forget about
Forget about it. There you go. Sometimes it just means forget about it.
it.
All right. Take care. We out.